fantastic book. I wish, going back to the story of California, I thought you would have said that you started selling online. Did you start selling online by chance? I don't think you can do that, right?
Yeah, I tried. They don't let you.
That would have been amazing.
I had everything set up.
Oh man, that twist of the story would have been like amazing.
Yeah.
But anyways, he says that, you know, you get to a point in your life, it's called adventure deficit disorder, right? Like ADD, right? It's just a little funny word of play on words. He says that when you get to 40 years old, it's like the adventure of life has been sucked out. You're just in your office, sitting down, cranking numbers, you're just going through the routine, and there's no adventure to it. And what he tells you to strive for is excitement. Because what you're eventually going to get to, if you follow what kind of like society is giving you the path to do it, and don't look at society as a bad thing. It's not like, oh, society, you know, Big Brother is doing this to you. No, there's no need to be a victim mentality. It's just the way the system is set up. But your life is going to get to the point that you don't have a lot of excitement. Your life is just going to office 9 to 5. You want to do that for 40 years? Something that is not even you. You're not creating. You're just like, you're like a mouse. You're like a little ant pressing buttons, right? Hopefully my parents can see this. So what I wanted to talk about is keeping some things in your mind for this upcoming semester. I'm going to go a little bit into what are some things that you can actually put into place right now to create a very successful semester. And we're going to talk, actually, let's get this.
No, you use that over there in the box. I mean, he did it, so.
Yo, Jose, get the last minute, please.
Press this. There we go. Then that.
Oh, nice. Okay.
This is actually
Cool.
That's all.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Alright, so have you guys asked yourself, what are some things that I could start this semester off to create a very successful experience with myself? Most of us never ask ourselves this question because it's just going back to that cognitive mindset, it's easier not to, right? Sitting down, planning things, if you haven't built up the habit, which we're just a combination of habits, we're just a whole combination of habits. If we haven't really sat down and created the habit of every weekend, every Sunday, planning the week out and getting our mind towards a vision, most likely you haven't asked these questions to yourself. So, what are some of the things that we could do to create, a really cool semester, something that 6 months, 4 months down the line when you go back to Tampa, when you go back to Weston, when you go back to Miami, you're like, wow, man, like, I had an amazing semester, like, I really had a vision for myself. I made things happen. This guy right here, brilliant entrepreneur, brilliant writer, brilliant, just very successful man. His name is Stephen Covey. Who has heard of the 7 habits of highly successful people? Highly effective people. Okay, almost everybody in the crowd. This book was written, let's say 1980s, 1990s, over 50 million sold. And he talks about 7 habits that very successful people have. Today I'm going to talk about the ones highlighted in green. Number 1 is be proactive. Proactive is the opposite of being reactive, right? So what would be something reactive? Reactive would be something like complaining about how the system is set up, right? I'd be like, man, like 9 to 5, like I hate it, man. And just go into victim mentality and not get out of it. That's very reactive. You're reacting, right? A proactive would be like, I could set up my own business online. I could create my own craft, develop it, and I could make things happen. If you get on that habit of reacting to everything that comes up to your life in a very proactive manner, then you're gonna go so far, right? Or you could be much easily, you could just react. You'd be like, complain, whine, nag. Those things are not gonna take you to any place. But if you just see it from a place of like, okay, I like this analogy is like, you're like shaping clay, right? Like throws some clay at you, go, whoa, right? Like you mold it. Like throws you some more clay, like whoa, Okay, we're creating out here, right? You're like rolling with the punches. You're having fun. You're being creative. You're being proactive about it. Be proactive about your life. And then the second one is putting first things first. And we're going to go a little more into how exactly we're going to go in doing that. So, one of his main ideas in this book is called the circle of influence. And in the circle of influence, he delineates two areas. One is your circle of control, and the other one is your circle of, not control, circle of concern. So what are some things that aren't in your control? What would you say, Gage?
What I want to wear in the morning.
Okay, so your choices about your fashion, right? Okay. Jake, what is something that is under your control?
Your schedule, your timing.
Planning, time management, excellent. Brian?
I guess more on a deeper level, your emotions.
Your emotions, that's right. That's actually one of the hardest ones to control. But you're on point on that. Something that's on your circle of concern now.
Food.
Something that's outside of control though. You could buy food.
No, I can't.
No job.
You gotta work at Chipotle with your brother now. What is something that is outside of your control? Let's say Jose is nagging at you, right? That's outside of your circle of control. You have no way how to shut him up, right? I mean, you could do some things, but we're not gonna get into that. So this semester, you guys, especially the younger ones, and even the older ones, focus 100%. Notice really deeply and be very aware, very mindful of when is it that you guys are complaining, nagging, any moment that you are complaining about something that is completely outside of your control. Your parents, the news, world situation. Okay, for example, I know Lars likes to talk about Gaza Strip and Israel and the bombings, and I realize that it's something very serious. You know, it's like that's happening. It's crazy. ISIS, all those killings, and to be informed and to know about it, to be knowledgeable, I think that's very, it's a very honorable thing to do. But the moment that you let something like that start controlling your emotions, or like you become super indignant and then you let your mood go down because of that, it's like, really? I have a friend. I asked him, like, how long do you want to live? He's like, the way the world is, man, I don't know, I'll just make it 50. I was like, what do you mean the way the world is? You live in the first world. He's like, I don't know, man, like, have you seen Vice News? Like, the world's crazy,
Oh my
bro.
God.
Right? And Vice News is amazing, right? And yeah, it shows you how crazy the world can be. I don't even know what's going on in the world right now. There's a lot of bad things going on in the world. As well, there's just a lot of good things going on in the world. But that's outside of your influence. That's outside of your control. You cannot control that. So whatever is outside, teachers, drop bad, right? All these things, just notice, go through your week. I'm like, when am I complaining? When am I think that I'm a victim? When am I letting other people's reactions control my emotions? That's one of the most common ones that we have. And just realize that it's a habit. It's a habit that you've built your life. Maybe you're a complainer. Maybe you're a person who gets really hurt easily by people's emotions, right? Become very centered in your own self. Right? Become very centered in what you control and realize that nothing is owed. Nobody, the world, nobody owes you anything. Everything that you're going to gain in your life is all something that's going to be your creation. That is the circle of influence and the circle of concern, the circle of control and the circle of concern. That is one of the aspects of being proactive. If you guys are serious about this book, I would definitely recommend you guys check out the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Amazing book. I'm just giving you the tip of the iceberg, so to say. And then the third value, the third part of his book is called putting first things first. So then he has these 4 quadrants. Do they have a name? Do you remember? I didn't. It's like
Just the 4 quadrants.
it's just the 4 quadrants, basically. And he says that we usually focus on what's urgent and important, right? So it's like you're in the job and you receive a mail from your boss. You're like, okay, gotta go check it out, right? you're always putting out fires, so to say. That's the way he describes it. You're always putting out fires. And that's great, but the result is stress. You burn out. You're always managing crises, or you're always putting out fires. Think about your life. What is something that you're always kind of preventing, right? Like you're putting down, you're putting out, as opposed to where you would want to be. And this is the hardest one to do, because going back to the cognitive miser, we don't want to do it. It's not urgent. Go to the gym, it's not urgent. Read books, it's not urgent. Create your own business, it's not urgent, right? All these things are not urgent. But if you take the time to do some of these things, let's take it into perspective like relationship building. Right? Making friends. I can go to a party, drink some beer, smoke a joint. Yo, you must buy, woo! Right? But that's more of this other quadrant right here, which is you're a social chameleon. You're not taking it into importance. Compare that to actually building a relationship with someone. Somebody very close to me, and this is kind of sad to say, but he says that he doesn't believe in friendship. Right? And for somebody to say, who believes in friendship here? Okay, all the room. That's pretty good. For someone to say that they don't believe in friendship, what does that tell you about them?
Trust issues.
Trust issues. They gave up. They're like jaded, right? So if you reach to maybe 50 years old, and they're like, yeah, there's no such thing as a friendship. That tells you that during his life, he was never able to make friends. Right? It's something that's very, it hurts, right? If someone doesn't believe that you can be friends with them, then that tells you a lot about trust issues, in a way. So, going back to the social aspect of it, don't be a social chameleon. If you really want to build someone, a relationship with someone that you value, take your time, invest. It's going to take time, right? That's going to be in the quadrant 2. You want to focus on things that are important and not urgent. Setting down your values, the wheel of life that we talked about in the previous meetings, right? Going to the gym, doing these things that are going to take you forward, that vision. It's not urgent, but it's the most important thing you can do for your life. And what are the results of that? You're going to have discipline. You're going to have control. One of the greatest skills that I've done for the past years, meditation, right? Now it's easy for me to wake up and do 20 minutes of meditation. But how hard is it to start doing meditation? Maybe you'll do one day, you won't do it the next day. Think about sitting in a chair, closing your eyes, and just not doing anything. Just not thinking for 20 minutes. It's so tough. It's incredibly hard. You have the Instagram blowing up in your phone like crazy. You have the Facebook blowing up in your phone. And taking the time to do it. Now, if you're able to do that, and you practice that skill, you're going to have amazing amounts of willpower. You're going to have discipline. You're going to have much more control over your thoughts. You're going to be much more not pulled by your emotions. The amount of benefits, it's huge. But you have to start thinking of what's not urgent, what's not important. Okay? Where do we spend most of our time at? Time wasters, pleasant activities, social media, right? Again, we cannot be hard on ourselves because our nature is to receive as much output as possible with the least time as possible, least investment as possible. So, don't be harsh on yourself if all you do is waste time in social media. But just realize it and know that if you want to change, you don't have to change. I'm not trying to convert here anybody into being, a more organized person, but if you guys become and if you guys can benefit from this, that'd be amazing. Even I do a lot of this stuff, right? So this is something that you guys could also find in the quadrants in his book, Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People.